The day before, The Division 3 with the atmosphere of The Last of Us. Okay, wow. The day before, it looks like Naughty Dog has just taken over The Division 3, which of course is in development at Massive Entertainment in Sweden. But this lighting, the atmosphere, the characters, the mechanics, the crafting, even the shooting, sure as hell feels like The Last of Us. The dev team behind The Day Before are apparently such big fans of The Last of Us, they even chose the same font for their logo. But The Day Before also does a lot of things differently than both The Last of Us and The Division. We have to keep warm, eat, drink, look for gasoline for our car, and when we get out of the city, climb snowy mountains in a Mercedes G-Class, this game has a lot of secrets worth talking about. The Day Before, the world premiere on Loot Boy. If you ever played The Division, you know how mechanical driven this game is. It's all about loots, stats, numbers. The Division 1 and 2, great shooters, but Massive Entertainment was never interested in telling a particularly thought-provoking story. Our own character is an elite soldier in a special unit called Division, but really we have no idea who that person is. What's driving him or her? Most of the characters we meet along the way are also fairly stereotypical NPC soldiers. They follow orders by generals or the President of the United States without asking too many questions. The Day Before seems to be completely different and dabbles quite a bit in the survival genre. We are feeling cold and need to warm up when a snowstorm hits New York City. We are hungry and need to eat. We need water. This also applies to our G-Class, which we drive through the streets of Manhattan. The car needs petrol, otherwise it will stop. What should never stop, though, is smashing that like button. You could also subscribe to make us double happy. Thank you, fellow new loot buddy. So, the game wants to be much more open world, akin to, let's say, a Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption. If we want to sell and buy stuff, we have to drive to an off-site bunker location. The goal of this game, fairly often, is to force us outside our comfort zone, which is interesting for a survival game. The Division is a great game, but it's very repetitive in nature since we are always on foot. Missions can feel samey after the first 20 or 30 hours. A car is a mechanic to make traversal more interesting. It not only allows to speed up and traverse larger parts of the map, let's say from Queens or Brooklyn to Manhattan over a bridge, or even into the mountain region. This looks like the Hudson Highlands, but we're not entirely sure yet. And as you can see here, realistic driving physics are a key part of the fun. The car drifts on this snowy path full of ice and has to work really hard to get through the mud here, which is awesome. We actually never really had such a feeling of open world driving before, right? Forza Horizon, I guess, is the only game that comes close if you ask me. And hell yeah, of course it can be used as a weapon against zombies. Those brain eaters are not necessarily smart. Driving them over is always an option. You know, it reminds me a lot of this game. It was made by Capcom. It was a ton of fun. Just play some footage of it. You know what I'm talking about. And of course, we can just speed away. If we have enough fuel in the tank, getting this fuel adds a task to our open world to-do list. This is also where the physics system comes into play. A car actually presents a certain amount of security against small caliber weapons, such as the Glock pistol, which might not be able to penetrate the car entirely, just the front window. Of course, we can always get shot in case the enemy has a high-powered assault rifle like an M4, or AK-47, the good old Russian Kalashnikov. What's also interesting about The Day Before is we can actually steal heavily armored tanks from the U.S. National Guard. Here you can see a striker tank in action. It's armored so heavily it would likely withstand a direct hit by a rocket out of an RPG launcher, and probably take a few grenades themselves. The striker's main gun is a Browning M2, which can turn a car into a flaming piece of metal and steel barbecue within a second. It also features a grenade and mortar launcher, which you can use to bombard a larger area. It's going to be interesting to see how far the dev team around Fantastic wants to push this. Some of their team worked on Arma 3, and you can tell. So they definitely have quite a bit of expertise with military tactical shooters. This is also where the whole co-op multiplayer element could come into play. We already know that you can squad up with several other human players against other squads of real players, plus AI gangs to spice up the fun. These striker tanks are armored personal carriers that will allow you to bring a small squad right to the front line. It'd be rather interesting whether we can use this to crash the enemy lines or just mow over a couple hundred zombies. Well, what about your personal protection? You want to avoid getting your skull cracked in other survival games such as Rust? You might want to check out the Loot Boy app. It's helped me, and it's totally free on iOS and Android. We got you covered on all bases. Want some AirPods? We got you, buddy. Want some loot for Rust? No biggie, my friend. Maybe you want some night vision goggles, Call of Duty style, for the ultimate competitive advantage by night in Rust. Let's do it. What about a modular auto turret that keeps your enemies at bay? We got that. And yes, we also have the chance to win a ton of credits for the Division 2, and maybe soon for the day before as well. Hey, Fantastic, let's have a chat. Your name is awesome. Our name is awesome. Your games rock. We rock. We don't make games, but yeah, we rock. It sounds like a match made in open world heaven, right? Right? Yeah. Reach out to our business email. Thank you. All right. Now back to this rather interesting and very new competition of the Division. What immediately struck me about these first few scenes, much like the Division, the day before is based on elaborate physics routine. Remember, in the Division, different materials react physically to bullet fire, whereby the mass is also taken into account. You can shoot through glass, but not through tires or an engine block. The size of the bullet holes in the glass will vary depending on whether you are shooting at them with a Glock pistol, an ACR assault rifle, or an M4 Super 90 shotgun. Well, a certain American YouTuber has to find out whether the intensity of the weapons is mapped 100% correctly because he likes to fire at vehicles, literally everything that shoots. As a German company, we have a bit of a lack of firepower in our Loot Boy Command Center, so sorry about that, Loot Buddies. You can also already see that the dev team is aiming for a bit more of a realistic combat style. Not fully Arma 3, but also not as casual as the Division, where shots line up perfectly. It almost doesn't matter from which distance as long as you have the stats to back it up. The day before, though, works very differently. These guns are not laser pointers. When we fire our assault rifle in automatic mode, i.e. a quick sequence of shots, the AK-47 strays quite a bit, a characteristic that Kalashnikovs have. They have a lot of stopping power, they penetrate a lot of mass, including Kevlar vests. However, they are less accurate than, for example, an FN Scar MK16 or Heckler & Koch 416. The standard weapon of American SWAT units. Accordingly, you can also carry several secondary weapons in the day before. In addition to the Glock in the holster, the figure also has an H&K of 416 hanging on his shoulder and switches to this weapon because the enemies were looking for cover at a relatively high distance. Only when he goes into close quarter combat, perhaps 10 meters away from the enemy, does he switch to the AK-47 because it has the power to penetrate the taxis where the gang members are hiding. This is how we force him out of his secured position into the wide open. He doesn't want to die, of course, but well, he has killed our friend, and payback is best served cold. What's also interesting, the gunshot wounds of a lot of folks here are still very fresh. For example, on this poor pizza delivery guy. The day before rocks a bit of this GTA vibe because, well, Rockstar loves to put a bit of parody stunt on real brands. Eaper Eats sounds like Uber Eats. Guess they didn't really want to use the brand name because, I mean, this guy is dead, which might result in some legal problems down the line. The blood has not dried yet on the ground, so the victim seems to have been shot only a few days or even hours ago. Why would someone deliver pizza while zombies are running around outside? And armed militias that seem to make little distinction between civilians and combatants. In the demo, we actually take a slice of pizza to refresh our energy meter, which you can see in the lower bar. It's the symbol in the middle. And can we please just take a moment to appreciate the beauty of this game? Holy smokes, like seriously. This is a rather small team, new in the scene. They deliver something that has just completely blown us away. Look at all these mud puddles that got ripped up by the tires of our Jeep, and it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
maybe sing this part. I'm not going to sing this part. It is beginning to look a lot like Christmas. The silver tinsel, green mistletoe over the 7-Eleven, wonderful Christmas atmosphere. Everyone watch Gremlins, best Christmas movie of the year. That's what it's reminding me of. The door of the store, completely covered with fir branches and the fairy lights still on. This also suggests, of course, that the zombie invasion must have only just happened. Probably a Christmas zombie apocalypse. Definitely one of my favorites. You can see a Christmas zombie apocalypse in the film Anna and the Apocalypse. Great movie. It's a musical. You love it. You kids would love it. Sing that stuff to your parents. Annoy the heck out of them. Everyone likes hoarding food, as we have only just experienced in our own pandemic, where people just started hoarding mountains of toilet paper without any need because, well, I mean, does anyone need to know? People don't poop more during a pandemic. I mean, interestingly, the day before also takes place after a pandemic. This is revealed by a newspaper lying on the floor. She has also revealed that billionaires have made an incredible amount of money during the in-game pandemic. People naturally hate billionaires in the game if they profit from other people's misery in the game. They hate them a little more, which leads to an uprising in the game, a revolution, which, when coupled with a zombie outbreak, means bad timing. Bad timing. That's all it means. But great timing by Fantastic and their publisher Mytona, because The Division 2 has a bit of a content problem right now, and this pearl of a game has so many ideas. It's incredible. It's a tactical shooter. It's got great driving physics. It's got snowstorms, and it's got survival elements. Give us a demo, Fantastic. We are on fire. Well done, buddies.